School is back in session. It's fine. Everything's fine. Hello Tarantula lovers, I'm Alex and you're watching Tarantula Haven. Sorry I've been absent for a little bit, but school has started back up and it takes up a great deal of my time, especially at the beginning here. Hopefully later on down the line things will slack off a little bit and I'll be able to post more frequently, but here I am. Before I get started, I'd like to give a huge shout out to the Tarantula Collective. They sent me this wonderful t-shirt. I love shirts and this one is probably one of the coolest designs out there. So thank you so much for the t-shirt. And if you haven't checked out the Tarantula Collective, that is an amazing channel. He has been growing by leaps and bounds. His subscribers have been shooting straight up, but his site is wonderful. He kind of specializes, it seems like, on species-specific videos and gives you a lot of information about their care and where they're from and all that kind of stuff. So really good stuff. Definitely check out the Tarantula Collective. On my last video, I had pulled my Salmopius cambridgei babies from the mom, and I put them into deli tub enclosures. I put them into 2 deli tub enclosures, and they were still in first instar, so they were relatively immobile and easy to move, and a friend of mine told me that I should do it then, that rather than wait until they were in second instar and got a lot faster. And so I decided to take them up on it, and I don't regret that decision because I forgot how fast Salmopius cambridgei grow. So at this point, they are in second instar, getting ready to go into third instar, and they are relatively quick, and they scurry around, and they are growing by leaps and bounds. So I'm ready now to separate them out individually, because I'm worried that if I wait until they start going into third instar, then I might start getting some cannibalization going on and things like that. So yeah, I'm getting ready to separate them out individually, and then from that point I have to decide what I'm going to do with them. So that's what the focus of this video is today. About 2 weeks after I had separated the babies from the mom, I had put them in these deli tubs, and I noticed that they started to turn dark, and this is an indication that they're getting ready to molt. If you notice, some of them are still very light colored, and you have other ones that are starting to get some black around the legs, and their abdomens are starting to turn a dark color. And here is the second tub, and you can also see the changes in this one. And a couple of days later, it was like someone flipped the switch and they all started turning dark. And you can even see some of them already molted here. They've got longer legs and they're a little bit fuzzier looking, even though they're still soft, so they're not quite darkened up yet. But they look more like regular tarantulas. And it was kind of interesting to see when they started molting. You know, you start seeing one here and there molt, and it's interesting to see the reaction of the other spiderlings as they go to investigate what all the movement is about. So, you know, this is something that was pretty fascinating for me. Here you can see one just start molting right there. You can see the pumping action of the legs. And yes, the ones that are nearby are coming close to it and they're investigating it. So I thought that was kind of a neat thing to experience. So in the first deli tub, you saw maybe one or two molting, but in the second deli tub, it seemed like all of them decided to molt at once. So you can see some of them that have already molted around and some of them that are in the process of molting. When I speed up the time lapse, you can actually see them a little bit better. But yeah, if you pay close attention, you're going to see them just start molting all over the place. And just like that, pretty much overnight, they all molted, and I ended up with a bunch of little tarantulas that look like this. So I decided that I needed to go ahead and separate them out after a couple weeks of them being in the deli tub. I know it doesn't seem like there's that many in there, but they are stacked up on top of each other. And they also started to burrow and web up the place. So they started creating their own webbing in there. So most of them are kind of hiding underneath. And, I got my stuff together and made sure that I had my catch cup just in case I had any escapees. And I have a paintbrush and a bamboo skewer. I know I didn't really show it that well. And I've got these little deli cups that I'm going to use to separate them out. So as you can tell, I'm a little bit unsure of what I'm doing. I kind of have an idea as to what I'm going to do, but this is the first time I've ever had to do this. So I've got a little deli cup ready, and I'm using the paintbrush to try to scoot one of them out. And it seems like it's going to be a pretty easy task, but then it decides to turn around. And I kind of figured out that the paintbrush was not exactly my best choice to try to get them out. Because of the soft bristles, it seems like they tended to ignore it and went further down into the substrate instead of coming up. So I decided to change my plan, and yeah, I discovered that it's a little bit difficult to put that lid on there. They don't snap very easily. Sometimes you have to do it a certain way, and the tarantula kept trying to go up to the top, so I kept having to tap it to bring it down so then I wouldn't snap it on their little legs, because I would hate to do that. So I got a little bit smarter, and I continued here with the brush, but you'll see me after a little bit using the bamboo skewer. And the bamboo skewers seem to work a whole lot better. I guess because it's a hard substance or surface, it was a little bit more uncomfortable on them, so they got to moving as soon as I poked them around with it. And I do use the sharp end of the bamboo skewer. I found that the blunt end was a little bit difficult to get into the little cracks and stuff and in between their little bodies. So I was just careful to make sure that I didn't stab anybody. But yeah, the sharp end worked better to separate them out and get them moving. And once I got them moving, I kind of turned the bamboo skewer around to the blunt end and, you know, just made sure I was careful not to poke them with it. And for the most part, it was relatively easy to get them into the little deli cups, but there were quite a few that would try to bolt and make a run for it. So I ended up having to do a lot of chasing around inside of the plastic tub that I had on there. Here's one that got into the lip there and was kind of being difficult, but that was few and far between. Most of them would either just get into the tub, and I would just kind of scoot them around with the paintbrush or the bamboo skewer or my hand, because at this point they're so small they can't really bite you, so I wasn't really worried about that. So it was pretty easy to contain them as long as I kept doing it one at a time. But I did have some that would come out two at a time, but I found that if I left one alone, it would just sit there while I got the other one, and I didn't really have to worry about it trying to escape or anything like that. So it worked out pretty good. I was really surprised at how many tarantulas I was pulling out of there. I had bought 150 of these little deli cups, and I was quickly using them up, but I was not running out of tarantulas. There were still several in there. So yeah, I'm gonna end up having to buy more deli cups. I don't know what made me think there was only 150 in there or less. And I guess I'm just bad with visually estimating numbers here, but obviously there's way more than 150. So there you have it. It was pretty cool doing this. This is my first time I've ever had to separate out tarantulas. I've seen it done before. I've seen the people at Fear Not do it, and I've seen other people do it for their channels and so on. And it was a pretty cool experience for me to get to see that. One of the things that was interesting for me was to see how quick and agile they are and all the jumping that they do. I'd never really had that experience with Psalmopoeus cambridgei. The adult that I have, I got her as a juvenile, so I've never really had that much experience with handling and her moving around and so on and jumping. I know they're arboreal and that's expected, but like I said, it's never really happened for me. So I also have a sling who's now a juvenile that I've raised up, and that one, again, when I first got it, I just put it into its enclosure, and it's still in the same enclosure even though it's grown quite a bit. I haven't had the experience of pulling it out and doing anything with it to watch it jump and stuff like that. So that was a brand new experience for me with the Psalmopoeus cambridgei. Very interesting to watch them bolt around and jump and so on. And you know, another thing that was a cool experience for me was putting them into these enclosures, because at first you could tell that I wasn't very good at it and they were running around. I was trying to figure things out, but toward the end I was popping them in there really quick and popping the lids on there. I think the hardest thing about it was to make sure that I didn't pinch their little legs, because they had a tendency to want to stay up along the lip at the top when I put the lid on it, so I had to kind of knock them down and then snap the lids closed. But yeah, it's not as bad once you get used to it as it seems, but it was definitely a lot of hard work. 2 hours to get 141 into these containers, and I still got a whole bunch left to go. I would say there's probably still about 25 inside the tub that I started with, and then I still have the second tub that I think I have more in there than I had in this particular tub. So I'm probably looking at another 200 slings or so, and that is a lot of tarantula babies. The biggest question that I get from friends, because they watch some of my stuff, is they ask me, what does one do with this many tarantulas? And the answer is, because I'm a personal breeder and it's something that I've done as a hobby and on my own, I don't have like a big account or anything like that. I'm not a vendor. I don't have connections with, say, FedEx, where I can ship for cheap or relatively cheap, like some of these other places can that sell tarantulas. So it's hard for me to sell them individually, and it's hard for me to ship them to people, especially when you're talking about a $20, $25 tarantula. A lot of times it's not worth it, especially when I would probably be paying $60, $70 to ship FedEx overnight. So my best bet as to what to do with these is to seek out a local vendor, and I've got a couple people in mind, and offer them to them and see if they would be willing to buy them, or if they'd be willing to buy a certain amount in lots, or if they would be willing to trade me for some of their stock, things that I may not have, and they get the entire, you know, collection here. So those are things that I'm kind of tossing around and seeing if I could do. Like I said, I got a couple people in mind, and hopefully things will go well, and they need some Psalmopoeus cambridgei. So that is for the future, and I'll keep y'all posted on what I'm doing with them. And I'm not going to make another video of me putting them all in there, because that'll get boring, but I'll keep you posted as to the count, because right now we're at 141 and I still got a whole bunch to go. So that wraps it up for me today. I hope you enjoyed it. Definitely go check out the Tarantula Collective. You'll love it, love his channel. He's got some very pro looking stuff. I don't know what he does for a living, but his footage is so crystal clear and good, and he's got all this dynamic video going on. Really good looking stuff. And I'm so envious of his tarantula room. He's got all these shelves and lighting and all this cool stuff. I don't have a tarantula room. I wish I did. But yeah, definitely enjoyable stuff. Go check him out. And that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a like. If you want to see more, subscribe. If you want to support this channel, I have a Redbubble store where I sell Tarantula Haven merchandise. Any of the proceeds from the merchandise will go directly to help grow and support this this channel. And I have an Instagram, tarantula_haven, where I post a whole lot more pictures and some video of my tarantulas, more so than I do here on YouTube, because I don't have tons and tons of time to make videos, but it's real easy to post pictures on there, so check that out and you'll see more stuff than what I do here. Until next time, keep loving them tarantulas.